It's Lucy's birthday today. She ordered a cake, but unfortunately, the delivery guy brought the wrong one. Lucy goes to the pastry shop herself and asks to replace the cake. There are 3 cakes left in the fridge. Can you find the correct one? The first cake has a bride and groom figurine on top, so it's probably a wedding cake. The second cake is meant for another customer named Mary. Therefore, the third one belongs to Lucy. Lucy takes the cake and heads home. She's passing by an Italian restaurant. Can you spot a vampire hunter among these people? It's this chef with a garlic necklace. Finally, Lucy returns home. Some of her guests are already here. Her sister Stella, her college friend Anna, and her colleague Jessica. Lucy asks them to iron her new party dress and rushes to the shower to freshen up. Then she returns to the guests. The dress is perfectly ironed, but there's a huge blue stain on it. Can you figure out who put the stain on her dress? It was Jessica. She has blue ink on her hands because her pen was leaking. Lucy goes to her bedroom to find a new outfit for her party. Then she returns to the kitchen to check on the cake in the fridge. Oh no! Someone has bitten it! Lucy hasn't even blown the candles yet. Who's guilty? Take a look at the crime scene. There's a used fork with some red lipstick on it. Anna is the only one who's wearing red lipstick. The mystery is solved. Lucy gives Anna a postcard with the following text. Can you decode this rebus? You are under arrest. It's time to unwrap the gifts. Lucy's guests say, you have to crack our riddles to get the gifts. Riddle 1. I get shorter the more I'm used, but I'm not a pencil. I'm made of wax, but I'm not a crayon. I can help you see in the dark, but I'm not a flashlight. I'm often found on a birthday cake, but I'm not icing. What am I? I'm a candle. Lucy gets her first gift from Stella. The guys go ahead and invite Lucy to crack the next riddle. I can pop, but I'm not popcorn. Sometimes I have a string attached, but I'm not a kite. Sometimes I float, but I'm not a swimmer. I'm seen at birthday parties, but I'm not a candle. What am I? I'm a balloon. Lucy gets a bunch of balloons from Jessica. To get the third gift, Lucy needs to solve the following riddle. I bake, I rest, I come in different shapes, and I sometimes live with a flame on top of my head. What am I? I'm a cake. Suddenly, someone rings the doorbell. Lucy opens the door and sees 3 people in carnival masks. 2 of them are late guests of Lucy, but one of them is an imposter. Can you guess who? It's the person in the middle. He doesn't have any feet, and he's floating in the air. This guy must be a ghost! Lucy returns to the kitchen. Oh no! Someone popped the balloons. Let's have a look around. Jessica is trying to get rid of a stain on her clothes. Stella is lighting a candle, and Anna is finishing her pizza sitting right next to the balloons. Who's guilty? Anna is wearing a dress with spikes. They must have poked some holes in the balloons. It's time to blow out the candles. Lucy pours tea for all the guests. Then she leaves the table to have a brief phone call. Lucy returns and takes a sip of tea from her cup. Yikes, it's very salty. Lucy interrogates 3 people around the table. Stella says, "I didn't touch your cup. I was busy taking a selfie." Anna says, "I was cutting fruit, only your sister is capable of such a silly prank." And Jessica says, "I was in the bathroom, so I didn't see what was happening at the table." Who's lying? Anna, look! She's hiding the salt shaker in her dress. Anna admits that she was trying to destroy the party. She's turning 22 today, but everyone forgot about her birthday. Lucy wants to make amends. Take a look around and try to find a possible gift for Anna. Hey, Lucy's birthday cake still has unlit candles in the shape of numbers 2 and 5. Lucy can turn the 5 upside down, make the candles look like 22, and present them to Anna. Luckily, Anna forgives Lucy. Some of the guests start dancing. Suddenly, the light goes off for a second and then comes back on. Stella screams, "Someone stole one of my diamond earrings!" She questions 3 suspects. Lucy's boyfriend, Bill, says, "I was trying to film a TikTok dance when the lights went out." Anna says, "I'm afraid of the dark, so I just landed on the sofa." Lucy's coworker, Oliver, says, "I wanted to ask Stella to dance, but suddenly it became dark, so I just froze." Who stole the earring? No one. It just fell under this chair. Lucy decides to take some party pictures. Can you find 3 differences between these 2 pictures? Here they are. Let's see if you can find 3 differences between these pictures. Over here. Let's make the task a little harder. Can you spot 5 differences between these images? Here they are. Bill is an artist. He gives Lucy his painting as a birthday gift. What's wrong here? There's no river. Can you help Lucy distribute these party hats among her guests? Stella loves the color yellow, but she's not fond of green. Oliver doesn't like the color purple and stripes. Anna is allergic to flowers, but she loves stars. Jessica doesn't like the color yellow, and Bill is not fond of orange decor. The first hat is for Jessica, and the second one is for Stella. Anna should get the 3rd hat, Bill the 4th one. And finally, the 5th hat is perfect for Oliver. Lucy and her guests run out of food, but they're still hungry. There's a pizza restaurant just next to Lucy's place. Bill decides to go there. He rushes over and bumps into another customer. Bill hits his head and forgets what pizza Lucy asked him to buy. He remembers just 3 things. The pizza topping shouldn't include more than 4 colors. It shouldn't have any onions. but it must have at least one green element. Can you help Bill find the correct pizza? Four-cheese pizza and margarita don't have any greenish elements, so we can exclude them. Mushroom pizza does have green olives, but it also has onions, as well as pineapple and jalapeno pizza. Goodbye! Only pepperoni pizza is in line with the assignment. Suddenly, Lucy hears someone ringing on the door. She opens and faces two dudes. They introduce themselves briefly. Peter says, "I'm the nephew of your next-door neighbor, Glenda. She sent me here to borrow a cup of sugar from Lucy." And Rick says, "I'm a delivery guy. Here's a birthday gift." Can you guess who the prankster is? It's Rick. He doesn't know Lucy's name, which is weird for a delivery guy. I wouldn't risk opening this box. Lucy exposes Rick and returns to the kitchen. She discovers that someone has broken her favorite vase. Lucy interrogates three suspects. Bill says, "I was in the bathroom. I just returned and noticed the broken vase." Stella says, "I put roses in this vase about an hour ago, and I haven't approached it since." And Jessica says, "I was dancing in the living room. About 5 minutes ago, I heard the sound of breaking glass from the kitchen." Who's lying? Stella, take a closer look at the broken vase. No roses, only daisies. One day, Emma went to her best friend Taylor's house crying. When Taylor asked what was wrong, Emma showed her the photo her boyfriend Andrew sent her from his solo hiking trip and yelled, "He's cheating on me!" Take a look at the image and tell me, how did she know? In the first photo from the kitchen of his Airbnb, there's a glass on the table with a lipstick mark. And in the second photo from the bathroom, see these slippers in front of the bathtub? These are slippers only a woman can wear. The local movie theater was doing a special Valentine's Day rom-com movie marathon, and they were doing a discount on the tickets for couples. However, the theater owner realized people were taking advantage of the offer by pretending to be couples. Take a look at these three couples standing in front of the ticket line. Can you help the owner figure out which two people are indeed partners? The second couple might not be holding hands and looking couple-like the others. But take a look at their ankles. They have tiny matching tattoos. They must indeed be committed partners. Now, take a look at these people watching a movie in another movie theater. There is only one real couple here. Can you tell who? Everyone's hands are everywhere, right? But if you look carefully, you'll see that this guy is not holding hands with anyone. He's just stealing popcorn from the lady sitting next to him. And this lady is trying to grab this guy's drink. See these people sitting on the right end of the front row? They might be sitting close to each other, but the guy is holding hands with this other lady. So they must be the real couple. Sarah has a crush on several guys at her college. One of them might be her soulmate. But first, she has to find out if they're single. There are some photos of them with their partners or siblings, and she needs to guess who is who. Can you help her figure out the single guys? Look at the first photo. Crush number 1, James, is hugging 2 girls tightly. The first girl has the same birthmark on her cheek as he does, so they might be siblings. The second girl is wearing a matching outfit and she's holding his hand, so she is his girlfriend. Now let's investigate the second photo. Crush number 2, Reggie might look like he's hugging this girl, but he's holding his hands in the air, not touching her body. This indicates they're not in a romantic relationship. The second girl is hugging him, but she's holding another guy's hand who is not in the photo. That means she has a boyfriend and Reggie is single. And lastly, Daniel, crush number 3 in the last image, is hugging a girl, but they both have friendship bracelets, so they're best friends. The second girl in the image looks grumpy. Daniel is pinching her cheek, which can only mean they must be siblings. It seems that Daniel is single as well. Ken is going on a blind date, but the only thing he knows about the girl whom she will meet is that she will be wearing a scarf with stripes. When he arrives at the restaurant they agreed to meet at, he sees 3 different ladies, all wearing scarves with stripes. Can you help him find out who his blind date is? The lady in the yellow dress already ordered her food and started eating. That means she wasn't going to meet anyone. The same goes for the lady in the red dress as well. It would be rude of her to enjoy tea if she was expecting anyone to join her. So, Ken's date must be the lady in the blue dress, waiting with 2 empty cups in front of her. Ella is waiting for her date. Take a look at these 3 guys across the street. Can you tell who her date is? Ella is holding a bucket of popcorn, so she must have a movie date. Now, take a look at the shirt pocket of the first guy. He has 2 movie tickets in there, so he must be the one going on a date with Ella.
Gotcha!
You were chosen as a contestant for the local channel's Valentine's Day themed quiz show. On the day of the show, you successfully made it to the final question. If you answer it correctly, you're going to win the $50,000 prize. The host invites 3 men, Jack, Robert, and Michael, and 3 women, Jane, Carol, and Lily, to the stage. Then he says, "I'm going to give you 3 facts about these people here, and I want you to tell me who the couples are. The first fact is, Jane's sister is married to Michael. The second fact is, Jack has never met Lily. And the third fact is, Lily is an only child." Can you win the grand prize? Jack is married to Jane, Robert to Lily, and Michael to Carol. Sophie received an anonymous letter in her locker that said, "Roses are red, violets are blue. Meet me here tonight if you love me too." The only thing is, she didn't know who it was from because they forgot to sign it. 3 classmates had been near her locker during the lunch break. Can you help her figure out who wrote the note? Take a look at Ethan's hands. They're covered with glitter, which matches the glitter hearts on the letter. So he must be the one who wrote it. Richard wanted to get a special anniversary gift for his wife, Rachel. He decided to check her wish list to pick something from there. The list included the first edition of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, a pearl necklace, and a luxury handbag. Which one should he pick as his gift? Take a look around the room. The first edition of Pride and Prejudice is already among the other books in Rachel's bookcase. The same goes for the pearl necklace. It's right here around the neck of the statue. So, since she already bought the first two items, Richard should get the luxury handbag. During her honeymoon, Jenny lost her matching gold wedding ring by the poolside.
Oh, no.
Her husband, Tristan, thought it was actually stolen, and he was suspicious of these three people. Can you tell which one stole the ring? The first lady is wearing a wedding ring on a chain around their neck, but it has a diamond on it. And since Jenny's ring needs to match Tristan's ring, which has no diamonds, that's not hers. The second man has several gold rings on his fingers, but none of them can belong to Jenny since they're all too large for her fingers. So, it's the third lady who stole the ring. See the silver-colored spray paint cans on her dress? She tried to disguise Jenny's golden ring by painting it silver, and she didn't even do a good job on that. Keith was working at the Cupid's Arrow booth at the carnival. There were three guys who all wanted to try their chances at winning the giant teddy bear prize. Unfortunately, they all took a shot with their arrows once Keith's attention was elsewhere. One arrow did hit the bullseye, but all three contestants were claiming it was theirs. Can you help Keith determine the true winner? Take a look at the second guy's backpack on the ground. It says National Archery Team on it. That means he must be the actual archer. So it's likely that he's the real winner. Tom planned a surprise for his girlfriend Kelly. When she arrived at the address where they were supposed to meet, she saw three different stores side by side. A jewelry store, a chocolate shop, and a florist. Where do you think Tom is waiting for her? Take a look at the display window of the chocolate shop. Among the chocolate letters, you can find the word surprise. So that's where Tom is. Mr. Perry was at a company meeting when suddenly all the lights went off due to a blackout. When they came back on, Mr. Perry's valuable pen was missing. He asked his colleagues what they were doing in the dark. John said he was replying to his emails. Tom claimed he was looking for a flashlight in his bag. Lisa said she was just sitting still, waiting for the lights. Mr. Perry quickly figured out who the liar was. Can you? It was John. His claim of replying to emails on his laptop doesn't make sense because the power outage would have affected the Wi-Fi. Somebody had been ruining the famous paintings at the City Museum. Detective Harris received a tip that the vandal, known for wearing disguises, would strike again tonight. At the museum, he spotted three individuals acting oddly. Can you help him identify the person damaging the artworks? The first person might be holding a paintbrush, but its bristles are clean. The second person has paint on her shoes, but it's just a designer pattern. The third person, however, has fresh paint on their gloves. That's the vandal. Mrs. Parker lost her precious necklace at the community fair. She remembers three women bumping into her around the time it disappeared. Can you figure out who took it? The first woman has a small envelope-style clutch bag. It looks too thin to hold anything bulky like a necklace. The second woman has a full shopping bag, but it's transparent and there's no necklace inside. The third woman has a scarf tied loosely around her neck, but there's something shiny beneath it. That's where the necklace must be. At the town bake sale, a delicious chocolate cake decorated with cherries disappeared. When the guards checked the security footage, they spotted 3 bakers who were near the cake last. Take a look at them all. Can you tell who swiped the cake? Baker 1 has frosting on their apron, but it's vanilla, so it can't be him. Baker 2's apron has cherry color smudges on it, but look at his display. He's selling cherry cupcakes, so those smudges must be the result of that. Baker 3 has a large empty cake carrier hidden under his cake display, and chocolate fingerprints on the corner of the glass. That's the cake thief! The International Detective Agency was searching for Annabelle Lee, a robber who stole $100 million from a bank. One of the detectives got an anonymous call that she was going to be at the airport. So he rushed there and spotted 3 suspicious-looking ladies. Can you help him catch the real Annabelle Lee? Check out the wanted poster of Annabelle Lee here on the alerts board. She has a beauty mark on her left cheek. But the first lady's beauty mark is on her right cheek, so she can't be her. And even though the second lady has the same hair color, she has no beauty mark. So the real Annabelle Lee is the third lady. The beauty mark is on the correct cheek. She just dyed her hair. It was Lily's first day of internship, and she was going to work at the lab of a famous scientist. During an experiment, she accidentally pressed a wrong button, which suddenly opened a vortex that transported her to a mystical maze. There were 3 paths she could take to escape. The first path was covered in flames. The second path had a deep, unending pit. And the third path was a narrow corridor with swinging axes. Which one should she choose? Lily should choose the third path with the swinging axes. Do you see the small, hidden button on the wall at the entrance of the corridor? It says Stop Axes on it. By pressing the button, she can deactivate the swinging axes long enough to make her way through the corridor without harm. Mr. Barnabas was the CEO of a big company. One day, his employees came to his office to ask for sick leave. Eliza said she was having stomach issues. And Richard said his broken arm was giving him a hard time when using his computer. Mr. Barnabas immediately realized that one of them was lying. Can you? It's Richard. His cell phone is in his right pocket. He would have to use his broken arm to put it in there. Mrs. Penny's prized roses in her garden were mysteriously pruned overnight. She suspected one of her neighbors. Take a look at them all. Can you help Miss Penny find out who did it? The first neighbor might be wearing his gardening gloves, but they're spotless. So he must have just put them on. The second neighbor is holding a pair of shears, but they look so rusty that she couldn't have used them to cut all those roses. The third neighbor, however, has freshly cut rose stems in their compost bin. That's our rose pruner. Jason was working on his laptop at the college library. He went out to get some snacks, but when he came back, his laptop was gone. There were 3 different students with him in the library. Can you help Jason figure out who took his laptop? Student 2 here is wearing a big bulky jacket, even though he's indoors and the weather outside looks warm and sunny from the window. That's suspicious. So he must be hiding the laptop in there. 3 campers were sitting around the campfire enjoying their s'mores. However, when they realized that there's only one s'more left, they started arguing. Camp counselor Mr. Harris decided to put an end to their argument by saying, "Whoever can answer my riddle correctly will get this last s'more. The more of this there is, the less you see. What is it?" The correct answer is darkness. Mr. Nelson was the owner of a pet supply store. One day, one of the luxury gourmet dog treats he was selling in his store got stolen. The police officer visited the houses of his last 3 customers, Maria, Edward, and Arthur. Can you help the officer figure out who's the treat thief? Take a look at this pet portrait Maria has on the wall. She has a cat, so there's no reason she would steal dog treats. And look at the dog food package Arthur has next to the door. On the package, it says, "Strict diet food for allergic dogs." That can only mean his dog couldn't eat the gourmet treats anyway. Then, it must be Edward who stole them. Every day, Mrs. Johnson visited the park to feed the birds. One day, she spotted a young mother and her sweet baby playing. She couldn't help but wonder who the father of the baby was, but she didn't want to ask the mother about it since she thought it would be rude. She noticed 3 men who were all at the park at the same time. Can you help her figure out who Elisa's husband is? Take a look at the second guy. His eyes are green just like the baby, so he must be the father. Blair, Chuck, and Serena were all flying to their holiday destination on a private jet. However, during their plane ride, one of the engines failed and all the passengers had to evacuate. Who is least likely to land safely? Both Blair and Chuck have parachutes in their backpacks. See the pins here? But look at Serena's bag. It doesn't have a parachute pin. Barney was scuba diving with his friend Amy. When they finally reached the coral reefs, Barney noticed that this was actually a dream. Can you spot the 3 oddities which made him think so? Firstly, take a look at Amy's scuba tank. It's not a tank, it's a big plastic bottle. She can't be diving with that. Secondly, do you see the SOS writing on the sand? It's not possible to write anything underwater. And lastly, check out this cute dolphin. It doesn't have any fins.
Becky and her mom decided to travel to New York City for the holidays. They spent the day sightseeing and arrived exhausted back at the hotel. They got inside the elevator and pressed their floor number. When the elevator came to a stop, they got out and headed straight to their room. When they tried opening the door with their key card, it wouldn't work. Becky's mom went down to the reception to get a new key card, while Becky waited by the door outside the room. But when Mom arrived back at the room, Becky was nowhere to be found. Look at the image. Can you guess where Becky was? The whole thing was a big misunderstanding. Becky and her mom got off on the wrong floor. That's why, when they tried opening the hotel door with their keycard, it wouldn't work. It took them a while to figure that out, though. Poor things, they must have been really exhausted. Now Amy found herself in the middle of a burning room. There was fire all around her, and she needed an escape route. The room had no doors or no windows. There was nothing to climb or stand on. Even so, in a matter of seconds, Amy was in the front yard and had escaped the fire completely. How did she manage to escape? The room had no doors, so she simply escaped through the doorway. A detective got an anonymous email about an upcoming heist in one of Chicago's museums. To stop it from happening, He needed to figure out the month the heist was planned for. The police asked their cybersecurity team to trace down the computers that sent the email, but the sender knew how to protect his IP. All they could find was a combination of symbols. Look at these symbols and see if you can figure out the month the heist is going to happen. I know, they look so random. But let's see. A jar stands for J, a ukulele stands for U, a nugget stands for N, and an eggplant stands for E. It's June, y'all! Now Peter here is being blamed for stealing a ring at a fancy jewelry store. He posted a bunch of pictures online with the ring, and the police tracked him down. When he was interrogated, he said that the ring belonged to his late wife. He even showed the police a picture of his wife wearing the ring. Look at the picture. Can you figure out if Peter is lying? Sure, he is lying. I mean, how could the ring fit both his and his wife's fingers? Unless she had really fat fingers. Mr. Finks is a science teacher, and he prepared a challenge for his students. He grabbed 2 bottles and filled them with different types of water. The first bottle was filled with hot water, and the second bottle was filled with normal temperature water. He asked his students which water would cool down first and promised an A to whoever managed to figure that out. Can you take a guess? The hot water bottle is going to cool down first because hot water has lower density. They have to be cooled down using the same exact method though, like with the help of a fridge, for example. Who knew, huh? Lucy's mom has 3 daughters. Her firstborn is Mandy, a successful entrepreneur. Her secondborn is Sarah, who is just finishing her PhD. Can you figure out who is the last daughter? It's Lucy. Duh, we started the whole thing talking about Lucy's mom. Dr. Mallory was doing a study with some of his patients. For his next study, he called 2 young boys. First, he collected their data, names, date of birth, height, and weight. Then he put them in a room together. He told them that he would leave them alone for the next 5 hours without anything but a jar of juice. He told them they could not drink the juice and neither talk to one another. When he came back after 5 hours, one of the boys had drunk the juice. He asked them which one of them had done it, but none of them admitted to being the culprit. How could the doctor find out who drank the juice? Well, that's simple. He could weigh both boys and see if their weight had any alterations. The boy who showed alterations was the one who drank the juice. Ashton, Barbara, and Luke are best friends. Once a year, they get together to do something adventurous. This year, they decided to go skydiving. They boarded the plane and were about to jump. But, uh-oh, someone's in danger. Can you guess who? It's Ashton. Look at his backpack. He's wearing a regular backpack instead of the proper skydiving one. He must have gotten distracted when they were dressing up. Taylor hosts a game night at her place every Wednesday with her friends. She prepares beverages and finger food for everyone. That night, she even bought a new set of cards for them to play their favorite game. Every player must draw 2 cards, and then they count who gets the highest sum. But during the first round, they noticed that the number 6 card was missing. They all revealed their cards, and indeed, there was no number 6. After a few minutes, Taylor started laughing, saying she had found the card. Take a peek at the image. Can you guess where the card is? It's right there. That card is not a 9, it's a 6. It was just turned upside down. Ricky has made a career of busting myths. One day, he got a call from a neighborhood watch saying there was some spooky activity going on in the town's abandoned manor. Neighbors complained about hearing screams, and one person even said they saw a ghost in a clown costume. Ricky went to check it out. Inside, he traced the noises all the way to the attic. The first thing he found was a broken music speaker, replaying the same part of an old song. Then he saw a clown costume in an open closet. Below the costume, there was a can of spray paint. Ricky gathered 3 suspects and interviewed them to find out who was trying to spook the entire neighborhood. Freddie, an independent filmmaker, said he was out of town to shoot a movie. Bianca, a local teacher, said she was terrified of abandoned places and would never put on a joke like that. Gabriel, an artist, said he was putting on his new show and didn't have time to fool around like that. Look at the suspects. Can you find out who is the culprit? It's Bianca. The rim of her pants is tainted red, just like the spray paint that Ricky found in the attic. She must have forgotten one of her cans when she broke into the manor. Mimi was exploring Egyptian caves when she found a shiny gold lamp. She rubbed the lamp 3 times, like in most stories, and she couldn't believe her eyes when she saw a genie coming out of it. The genie said that he worked a bit differently from the other genies. To grant her 3 wishes, she had to first answer one of his riddles correctly. He asked her, if 11 plus 3 equals 2, how much is 8 plus 6 equal to? She needed a watch for this one. 11 o'clock plus 3 equals 2 o'clock. 8 o'clock plus 6 equals 2 o'clock too. That's a lot of 2s. Elsa was 17 years old the day before yesterday. Next year, she'll turn 20.
Yay.
How come? It's possible if the present day is January 1st, while Elsa's birthday is on the 31st of December. The day before yesterday, on December 30, she was still 17 years old. Yesterday, on the 31st of December, she turned 18. Thus, this year, Elsa turns 19 and next year 20. Elsa and her sister Helga explore an old attic in their parents' house. It's very dark and dirty. After that, they go downstairs to have some lunch. Helga's face is all covered with dust, while Elsa's face is super clean. But still, only Elsa goes to the bathroom to wash her face. Why? Elsa noticed that her sister's face was dirty, so she thought her face must be dirty too. As for Helga, she saw that Elsa's face was clean and assumed that her own face was clean too. After lunch, Elsa and Helga go for a walk across an enchanted forest. They reach the riverbank, but the bridge is closed for repairs. The sisters notice 2 dwarfs fishing in a boat near the bridge. They agree to help the sisters, but their boat is very tiny. It can fit either one sister or 2 dwarfs. Luckily, they manage to solve this issue. Elsa and Helga cross the river on the same boat. How? Well, first of all, one of the dwarfs brought his fellow on the opposite bank. Then he headed back for the sisters alone. Helga got into the boat and crossed the river. She gave the second dwarf the boat, and he returned to the opposite bank. He picked his fellow dwarf and brought him to Helga. Then one of the dwarfs swam to Elsa and passed the boat to her. She crossed the river and joined Helga, and finally, the second dwarf returned to his fellow. Helga and Elsa keep on walking and get lost in the forest. There are 3 roads to the nearest town. The first route is filled with mutant plants which feed on humans. The second path leads through an ice cave with a hungry dragon frozen inside a huge ice cube. The third route leads through a village of fairies. Their magic makes humans lose their minds. Which way is safe? Well, the dragon is trapped inside the ice cube, so it's not that dangerous. Finally, the sisters reach the town. They're walking down the main street. Suddenly, someone throws an orange right at Helga's head. Elsa identifies the apartment from which the fruit fell out and goes there to complain. She knocks, and a young man opens the door right away. Elsa explains that her sister was hit by an orange that fell from his window. But the guy says, "I was washing my dog when you knocked. Only me and my pet live here, so you confused the floors." But Elsa didn't believe him. Why? According to the man, he was bathing his only pet, but the dog's hair is dry. Therefore, his story is fake. Elsa and Helga enter the local home decor shop. Helga takes a picture of her sister standing in front of the mirror. Can you spot anything odd in this photo? Take a closer look at the mirror. Elsa's hands are reflected wrong, as well as the sale poster behind her. She must be a vampire. Just kidding. The sisters continue exploring the shop, but suddenly Elsa begins to scream and runs away. That's because one of these ladies is not alive. Can you guess who? The first woman is an ordinary human. There's a mirror behind her. The third lady has a painting of herself in the background. And the second lady, who's looking over her shoulder, is a phantom. Her reflection in the mirror doesn't match the reality. Elsa decides to hide in a building nearby. Surprise! It's a pet shop. Elsa wanders around it and spots one weird detail. Can you see it too? The turtle is wearing sunglasses. The locals tell Elsa and Helga about a creepy werewolf who has been scaring the citizens for several weeks. They only know that this werewolf is a lady, and she has a husband. He's the only person who can calm her down. Elsa finds 3 suspects who might be the werewolf's husband, but none of them admits it. Can you find him? He's the second guy. There are suspicious brownish hairs on his clothes, although his own hair is blonde. The next day, Helga has a birthday party. Elsa goes to the bakery to purchase a cake for her. She's late, so she rushes over and bumps into a waiter. Elsa hits her head and forgets what cake Helga asked her to buy. She remembers just 3 things. It shouldn't have any green elements, the cake frosting shouldn't include more than 1 color, and it must have at least 1 berry. Can you help Elsa find the correct cake? Elsa should take the 4th cake. It's a chocolate cheesecake, so it doesn't have anything green. The glazing is brown and is decorated with cherries. A perfect match. Elsa buys the cake and leaves. The bakery is located inside the highest tower in town. Elsa enters the elevator to go down, but she hits the wrong button and finds herself on the roof. She decides to take some pictures with the iconic huge clock installed at the top of this tower. Oops! Elsa drops her phone from the roof. She decides to leave, but someone has already locked the door, and the elevator won't work, so she's trapped on the roof. Luckily, Elsa can still change the time of the clock. What time should Elsa set on the clock to make someone notice and rescue her? If she sets 5:05 on the clock, it'll look like an SOS signal. Finally, Elsa escapes from the tower and heads to the parking lot. Here's her car. Can you figure out the number of the place where it's parked? 87. Elsa arrives home. Helga shows her vacation photos sent by her new boyfriend, Kyle. In this case, you can see Kyle, his friend Bob, and a humanoid robot, Neo. Neo is standing next to Bob. A person wearing the yellow mask is not a man. What color is Kyle's mask? According to the terms, only the third guy can be Kyle, so his mask is blue. The birthday party is going well. It's almost midnight, so Elsa goes to the kitchen and adds candles on the birthday cake. Suddenly, she remembers that the only lighter in the house is upstairs in her room. She leaves the cake at the table for a minute. Then Elsa returns and sees the cake smashed all over the floor.
Oh, no.
She questions 3 suspects. Lauren says, "I was in the living room all night. I don't know who did it." Wendy says, "I went outside to watch the full moon. It's so beautiful tonight." Kyle says, "I was shooting a TikTok dance with Helga." Who ruined the cake? Wendy. Take a look out the window. The moon is not full. Busted. The next morning, Helga wakes up earlier than Elsa and checks her feed. Breaking news: a legendary thief ran away from a nearby prison and now creeps around the town. He's a talented shapeshifter, so no one knows for sure what he might look like. Suddenly, Helga hears someone ringing on the door. She opens and faces 2 guys who introduce themselves. Bob is a gardener from a nearby park, and Peter is a garbage man. Both guys want to use a bathroom, so they ask Helga to let them in. But only one of them is safe to invite over. Can you guess who? Bob is wearing clothes with red stains, but he's also holding a brush, so he was probably just painting a fence. Let's take a closer look at Peter's facial hair. One mustache has come unglued. It's fake. So he must be the runaway criminal from the news. Now, Carol was invited to a Halloween party in an abandoned house. Her friends asked if she was up for a challenge, and she said yes. Soon enough, she was locked inside a room. In this room, there was 1 door and 3 light switches next to it. Behind the door was an empty closet with nothing but a light bulb. Her task was to figure out which switch controls the light bulb inside the closet. She could flip the switches in whatever way she wanted, but once she opened the door, she couldn't touch the switches anymore. After some minutes of thinking, she was able to get it right. How did Carol do it? Okay, let's go step by step. She flipped switch number 1 and then waited a few minutes. She flipped it back to off and then immediately flipped switch number 2. Then she opened the door and checked the light. The bulb was off, so she discovered that it wasn't switch number 2 that controlled the light. So she decided to touch the bulb to test if it was hot or cold. If the bulb had been cold, that would have meant that switch number 3 controlled it. But the bulb was hot. So that meant that switch number 1 controlled 1. Way to go, Carol! To get back to the party, Carol had to solve another riddle. There were 2 hourglasses in front of her. One hourglass measures 7 minutes, and the other one measures 4 minutes. She needed to time 9 minutes using both hourglasses. How could she do it? First, she turned both hourglasses at the same time. By the time the 4-minute glass finished, there were still 3 minutes left on the other one. She flipped the 4-minute glass again. When the 7-minute glass was empty, there was 1 minute left on the other glass. And once the 4-minute glass emptied again, there was 1 minute's worth of sand at the bottom half of the 7-minute timer. She flipped it over again, so there was 1 minute worth of sand on the top of the glass. And when the 7-minute timer finally emptied again, 9 minutes elapsed in total. Now look at this party scene. Everyone is dancing in their Halloween costumes and having an enjoyable time. You've been told that one of these people is a real vampire. Can you figure out who it is? Let's see. The guy on the left is drinking something red, but he has a shadow, so he can't be a real vampire. The second lady looks creepy, could be her, but if you look closely at the mirror on the wall, you'll see her reflection, so it can't be her. And we can also see the reflection of the fourth guy in the mirror. This only leaves one lady left. She must be the real vampire. Anna sat down to watch her favorite TV show. She made some popcorn, turned on the TV, and nestled comfortably to binge-watch an entire season. Her cat Pepper sat down next to her, but after 5 minutes of screen time, Anna suddenly passed out. Look at the image. Can you guess what happened there? Anna's cat Pepper got scared with a loud thump that came from the TV. It jumped on top of Anna and it scared the life out of her. That's why she passed out. Brendan was camping alone in a remote location. He left his campsite and hiked 3 miles south. Then he turned east and hiked for another 3 miles. After that, he turned north and hiked for another 3 miles. After walking 9 miles, he was back to the exact same point from where he had left off. Plus, he got there just in time to find a bear trying to open his tent and steal his food. Look at the image. Can you guess the only place in the world where Brendan could be right now? It's the North Pole. That's the only place where you can hike for 3 miles south, east, and north and end up exactly where you left off. Fraser bought a cozy home in Vancouver. On a sunny day, he decided to take his dog out for a walk. When he let his dog off the leash, it ran extremely far away from him. At some point, the dog was opposite him across a huge lake. Fraser called his dog, who managed to cross safely to the other side of the lake without getting wet or using a boat. Can you guess how the dog managed to do it? Well, that's a trick question, but the dog could easily cross the lake since it was frozen. Your best friend invited you for brunch at a place called Wally's World. As soon as you arrive there, the hostess tells you that you need to solve a riddle to get inside. She tells us that there is only one rule at Wally's World. Over there is pizza with cheese, but no pizza with sausage. There is pepper, but no salt. There is a door, yet no entrance or exit. With this information, can you guess what the law is? Everything in Wally's World must contain double letters. So things such as pizza, pepper, and cheese are allowed inside. Whew! That sure wasn't obvious, huh? On a snowy winter afternoon, Dr. Brown was resting in front of the fireplace. Suddenly, somebody threw a snowball at his window. The hit was so strong that the glass shattered. Dr. Brown stood up just in time to see 3 neighborhood boys running away. They were brothers with the names John Smith, Mark Smith, and Dave Smith. The next day, a paper note was left on Dr. Brown's door. There it was written, a question mark, then Smith. He threw the snowball. Dr. Brown knew immediately which brother had done it. Can you figure it out too? It was Mark. You see, the note said, question mark Smith. He threw the snowball. But the boys were clever and put a question mark instead to test Dr. Brown's detective abilities. Henry was backpacking through Brazil by himself. One evening at around 8 p.m., he got very hungry and decided to look for a cozy restaurant to have some dinner. He walked into a traditional restaurant only to find a customer and a waiter arguing over something. The customer said that he had ordered clam soup, while the waiter was saying he had only ordered a cup of tea. Henry saw something that immediately showed him who was lying. Can you find out too? The customer is lying. Behind him, there's a huge sign that says the restaurant only serves soup from 1 to 4 p.m. Since it was 8 p.m. in the evening, the waiter would have never accepted the customer's order in the first place. Cheryl ran into her house extremely worried. "I set off as soon as I heard the news," she told the police officer. "I was at my parents' house in another town. What's happened to my husband?" "Well," the police said, "somebody hurt Mr. Moffat, and he ended up in the hospital. He's going to be okay, but we still need to find out who did this to him." The police officer has questioned 3 suspects so far. Mr. Moffat's secretary said, "I was sent to visit Mr. Moffat's business partner in the morning. Some important documents needed signatures." The cook said, "I haven't left the kitchen today. Mr. Moffat wanted me to prepare a meal for him and his wife." The housekeeper said, "I didn't hear anything today. I was doing some household chores all day long. After that, I was so tired, I decided to take a nap." The police officer realized who the culprit was in no time. Can you figure out who did it? It was the cook. Mr. Moffat didn't ask him to cook anything for his wife, since she had been out of town all along.
Matt buys a new house. In the basement, he discovers 3 signed boxes and a note. It says that one of the boxes contains $1 million. The 2 other boxes are empty, according to the note. Only one of the 3 messages written on the boxes is true. On the first box, it said that the cash is not there. The second box has a similar message: the cash is not here. And the third box says that the cash is in the second box. If you were Matt, which bag would you choose? Matt should choose the first bag, as we know only one of the clues is true. So the money should be in the first bag. Matt walks out of his house and goes to the garden. He pulls out his right hand. Suddenly, a bee lands on it. What's in Matt's eye? Beauty. Why? Because beauty is in the eye of the bee holder. In the garden, Matt takes 2 pictures. Can you spot 3 differences between them? Here they are. Matt returns home and figures out that someone has broken into his house, and the thief has just left. How did Matt figure this out? Someone turned on his electric stove and put a plastic bag on top. The plastic is only half melted, so the thief must have left a few seconds ago. Matt goes to his favorite vegan restaurant as usual on Fridays. He orders a slice of pizza, puts it on a table, and leaves for a couple of minutes to wash his hands. Then Matt comes back and finds out that his pizza is gone. He interrogates 3 customers nearby. Harold says, "I'm not hungry, so I didn't even look at your food. I came here for the sake of coffee." Bella says, "I was having a video call with my boyfriend. He lives in another country, so we go on virtual dates every Sunday. Distance is so exhausting." And Anna says, I was taking pictures of my food, so I didn't look around. You can check them out if you don't believe me. After hearing about what they had to say, Matt knows for sure who's a liar. What about you? According to Bella, she goes on virtual dates every Sunday. But it's Friday. Liar! Matt's girlfriend Erica is visiting him in his lab. Suddenly, she faces two identical Matts. Can you help her figure out who's a clone? The guy on the right has a scar on his arm. Meanwhile, the clone doesn't have any because his skin is brand new. Matt goes to the mall and buys a bat and a ball for $1.10 in total. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? Nope, the correct answer is not 10 cents. It's actually a little less. A ball costs 5 cents and the bat $1.05. And together they total $1.10. Someone robbed Matt's lab. The thief stole the cloning device and he's going to hand it over tonight. This is a great opportunity to catch the criminal. The police figure out the approximate place where to look for the device. They decide to question several people nearby. Greg says, "The garbage truck has just emptied the overhead trash cans." Jeff says,
I'm in charge of these trash cans. I checked all the cans next to the yellow ones and found nothing interesting.
And Bill just points at all the trash cans that someone approached today. Can you help the police find the trash can with the stolen device? First of all, we need to calculate the top cans. And now let's check all the remaining trash cans which people were approaching. The next step is to remove those next to the yellow ones. And here it is, the trash can we've been looking for. After the robbery, Matt decides to lock his lab door with a password. There are 4 buttons with different images: orange, banana, apple, and tomato. Can you guess which button opens the door? The odd one out is the tomato because all the others are fruits. So it should open the door. A priceless crystal disappeared from the local science museum. The thief left no trace behind. After analyzing the museum's security cameras, Matt invites 3 suspects for an interrogation. The security guard says, "I only left my post once during lunchtime. I can swear that the crystal was still there when I came back." The museum curator says, "I spent the day guiding a tour of foreign scientists. They came to see the crystal at the beginning of the tour. It was still shining bright in its place." One of the visitors says, "I only popped in for a quick visit. I didn't even pass through the room where the crystal was kept." After hearing their stories, Matt knows for sure who the thief is. What about you? It was the visitor. He hid the crystal in his sleeve. Matt's brother Greg arrives at his house to eat together. He yells, "Matt, the microwave is on and it's already defrosting our dinner." Greg hears Matt's reply from the bathroom. "Could you please check the microwave and let me know how much time is left?" Greg grabs his phone and calls the police. He reports a dangerous situation involving his brother. How did he know? Greg is blind, so his brother would have asked him to look at the microwave because Matt knows that Greg can't see. This made Greg suspicious, and that's why he called the police. The next day, Matt wakes up in a secret abandoned lab. He wanders around and finds 3 doors leading to freedom, but each door is hiding an unpleasant surprise. Here's a creepy monster sitting in a cage behind the first door. It's very hungry and angry. There's a bunch of venomous snakes crawling behind the second door, and the lights are off, so Matt won't be able to see them. and behind the door there's a huge fire. Which way is more or less safe? He should choose the first door. The monster is in a cage, so Matt can just pass by and escape. Matt manages to escape and enters the nearest gas station. He spots 3 odd things about this place right away. Can you see them too? The poster with the engine oil advertisement offers a 0% discount. The cashier has an octopus tentacle instead of hands. See this package of chips? It says they have the flavor of spiders. That's weird. The cashier agrees to help Matt get home if he manages to solve his riddle.
I came first on Earth, but second in heaven. I also come twice a week, but I'm found just once a year. I stay away for months, but you can find me in February. What am I?
The correct answer is the letter E. Matt returns home and finds out that someone has left homemade cookies on the kitchen table. He examines all the doors and windows. He finds no signs of a break-in. Matt decides to question 3 suspects who have a key. His mother says, "I spent all day with my yoga teacher, and my class ended 10 minutes ago, so I didn't have time for cookies." The plumber says, "I fixed the kitchen sink in the morning and left for home. Why would I bring you any gifts?" And Matt's girlfriend Erica says, "I visited your house a couple of hours ago to drop off some shopping bags and left for the gym. I didn't see any cookies." Who's lying? The plumber. Take a closer look at the kitchen sink. It has no tap. Therefore, he lied. Matt is walking in the local restaurant and gets lost in a maze. He has only 15 seconds to get out before it starts raining. Can you help him find the right direction? Ready to see the answer? Here's the correct route. Sally, Nellie, and Kelly are hanging out at the beach. They play volleyball and have a lot of fun. But then their ball flies away into the bushes. Nellie leaves the playground to bring it back, and she never comes back. Kelly and Sally look everywhere, but Nellie is gone. They begin to panic and call the police. Detective Bold arrives quickly, finds 3 suspects, and questions them. Bill says, "I've been chilling here since morning, but I didn't notice anything." Kyle says, "I arrived here just now, so I have no idea what's going on." And Mike says, "I was diving in the sea and watching the corals." Can you figure out the kidnapper? It's Kyle. He's wearing the same cap as Nellie. It seems too small for his head. That's because Kyle kidnapped Nellie and stole her cap. Sally returns to the apartment building where she lives. Wow, there's a basket with a cute little kitten on her porch. Sally takes 2 pictures to send them to her friends. Can you spot 3 differences between them? Here they are. Sally wants to know who brought the kitten, so she interrogates her neighbors. Tom says,
I've been playing video games since early morning. I didn't leave my place at all.
Tim says, I've been working out and I haven't left my apartment yet. Tyler says, I stayed home all day too. I was too busy playing basketball. Who's lying? Tyler. He's playing with a soccer ball, not a basketball. Moreover, it's pretty hard to play basketball alone inside the apartment. Sally goes to the supermarket to buy some milk for the kitten. Only these 3 packs of milk are left on the shelf. Can you help Sally choose the best option? The second milk expired 2 centuries ago, and the third milk carton is bloated, which means that it has already turned sour. Therefore, Sally should grab the first milk. Sally has been working as a cab driver for several years. One day, a police officer finds Sally unconscious in her car. Someone attacked her and stained the car with glue. The officer checks Sally's app account. Sally had quarrels with 3 clients recently, so he interrogates them. Rob says, "I took a cab to the university. When we arrived, Sally asked me to pay extra money for parking, and we had a brief quarrel, but I wouldn't put my future career at risk for a couple of dollars." Karen says, "Yesterday, I received an emergency call. My husband got to the hospital, so I needed to get there as soon as possible. But Sally was driving very slowly. That's why we had a quarrel." And Mrs. Green says, "I was returning home from the supermarket after grocery shopping. Sally asked for extra money for helping me with the bags. I didn't like it." After hearing their stories, the officer knows for sure who's guilty. What about you? Take a closer look at Sally's car. It's parked near the hospital, which means that Karen's trip was the last one before the attack. Therefore, she did it. Sally is feeling much better and she gets back to work. She needs to pick up her client at a restaurant. Her app offers 3 possible routes, but only one of them will actually bring her to the desired destination. Can you guess which one? Sally should choose the second route. Sally parks her car near the restaurant and faces the following scene. One of these ladies has a ghost mother. Can you guess who? The second lady is a ghost mother. Take a look at her mother's face. She's even younger than her daughter, which means that time has stopped for her a long time ago. Moreover, she leans over a candle without any fear of an open flame. Sally wants to visit her boyfriend Ken at his office, but the front door is locked. Can you help Sally figure out the 5-digit code? Let's take a closer look at these scratches. These are hints. All Sally needs to do is count the number of intersections. So the code is 23504. Finally, Sally gets inside Ken's lab. He shows her a spaceship from another galaxy. Ken found it and managed to repair everything except the dashboard. How should these wires be connected to make it work? Here, we see unfamiliar symbols from another galaxy. Our task is to determine which word each symbol corresponds to. These dots are put in the same places as the tails of some letters. This way, we can find a match for each word and connect the wires. Suddenly, Sally gets sick. She has a headache and a sore throat. Ken only has 4 pills that are identical to each other. They don't have any cover or instructions. So there's no way he can identify which pill serves that purpose. The only thing he knows is that 2 of these 4 pills will cure the throat and the remaining 2 will help with the headache. Sally should take 1 of each kind to heal. What should she do? The only solution available is to cut each pill in half, and then take 1/2 from each of the 4 pills. This way, she'll definitely have one pill of each kind. Ken offers Sally to live together. They begin to look for a new apartment and arrange 3 meetings with landlords. Each tells a story about their property. Mrs. Gray says, "I inherited this amazing apartment from my sister, but now I want to rent it for the long term because I'm moving to a farm with my husband." Oliver says,
I've been living in this property for 5 years, and it's in perfect condition. But now I'm moving abroad for work. So I'd like to find good tenants who will take care of it.
And Rose says, "This apartment belongs to my mother-in-law. She lives in Europe and asked me to find new tenants. Only one of these landlords is trustworthy. Can you guess who?" There's an advertisement near Mrs. Gray's apartment. This property is for sale. Therefore, she probably lied about the long-term lease. And now, let's take a closer look at Oliver's ceiling. It's leaking. Therefore, his apartment is not in perfect condition. Liar! Sally's kitten ran away. She's been looking for her pet all day long. Suddenly, Sally meets her neighbor holding her kitten. He says, "I'll give your pet back only if you crack my riddle. I'm the last thing you take off when you go to bed. What am I?" Ready to hear the correct answer? I'm your feet, and you take them off the floor. Sally brings her kitten to the vet for a checkup. There, she meets 2 doctors, but only one of them is a real vet doctor. Can you spot who exactly? Real doctors usually wear gloves at work, but the guy on the left doesn't wear any, although he's holding a dog. Sally wants to get a job in a magic shop. The owner gives her a test assignment to find a love potion on this shelf. Sally is very confused because the recipes are too complicated. Luckily, Sally's possible future coworker, Glenda, agrees to give Sally a hint. She provides her with a bunch of recipes, and now Sally needs to figure out the correct one by herself. She only knows that a love potion should contain these 5 ingredients. Can you help her find the right bottle? Only the 3rd bottle has all the required ingredients, so Sally should grab it. Sally succeeds and gets the job. Now her task is to go to the storage and find a fake mirror. Can you help her? Only the 2nd mirror shows the correct reflection, so the remaining 2 are fake. Sally and Glenda get hungry and order some food. Their meals are almost identical, but in fact, they have 3 differences. Can you spot them? Here they are. This is Greg. He's thinking of a 5-digit number. Its first and last digits are the same. Their summation is an even number. And their multiplication is an odd number which is equal to the 4th digit in Greg's imaginary number. If we subtract 5 from it, we'll get the 2nd digit. And if we divide this 2nd digit into half, we'll get the 3rd digit. What number is Greg thinking of? Ready to find out the answer? 34,293. Greg is a reporter for a travel magazine. Today, he enjoys his day off at a beach party. Suddenly, a famous travel blogger, Sergio, shows up at the dance floor. Greg grabs his phone and takes just one picture of Sergio before his battery runs out of power. The next day, he shows this photo at work and receives a promotion. Can you guess why? Take a look at Sergio's feet. It's a full moon and he's turning into a werewolf. That's why this picture is so exclusive. In the evening, Greg returns from work and goes to the bathroom to brush his teeth. Can you spot what's wrong in this picture? In reality, Greg is holding a tube of toothpaste in his left hand. But in the mirror reflection, he's got nothing in his hand. There is a tree growing in Greg's backyard. It doubles in height each year until it reaches its maximum height within 10 years. How many years did it take for a tree to reach half of its maximum height? Since we know that the height of the tree doubles every year, the correct answer is 9 years. Greg is having a family dinner. Meet his sisters, Bella and Stella. They were born to the same mother on the same day, at the same time, and in the same month and year. But yet, they're not twins. How come? Bella and Stella are two of a set of triplets. The next day, Greg returns to work and makes a report about two travel bloggers, Jake and Mike. They're hiking in the woods separately. Can you guess who has more chances to survive this night by just looking at these pictures? Can you see a cobra hiding in Mike's tent? Mosquito bites are usually not life-threatening, unlike snake venom. Therefore, Jake has more chances to survive. Greg has lost his phone in the office. He's been searching for his missing gadget for several hours. Suddenly, Greg gets an anonymous email saying the following. Can you guess what's written here? It's just written in reverse order. If you read it from right to left, the message turns into, your phone is hidden in the lobby of this building. Bring $300 and I will tell you where exactly. Greg goes to the lobby and spots something very odd about this place. Can you see it too? Look at the TV. They show different programs in reality and in the mirror. Greg is meeting his friend Kyle in their favorite restaurant, but unfortunately, they're both broke. So they only order free water and one chicken sandwich to share. Greg and Kyle have a great time together and take some pictures. But an hour later, Kyle gets very sick and faints. Doctors find out that he was poisoned. Let's take a look at the pictures that the guys took at the restaurant. Can you spot where the poison was? Kyle put pepper in his half of the sandwich, and Mike didn't, so the poison was in the pepper pot. Greg decides to take a walk home through a forest, and eventually he gets lost. There are 3 possible routes to the final destination. The first path leads through a village inhabited by vampires. The second path is full of toxic mold that can make any human lose their mind. And the third path leads through an enchanted forest that turns all human beings into trees. Which way should Greg choose? The first option is the safest. It's a sunny day and the vampires are probably sleeping. On the way, Greg meets a goblin. The creature offers him a deal.
If you crack my riddle, I'll let you go, but if not, I'll wake all the vampires up and you'll never leave this forest.
Greg agrees. Here's the riddle.
How can you drop a raw egg from a height onto a concrete floor without cracking it?
Ready to hear the correct answer? Concrete floors are very hard to crack. The next day, Greg is preparing an article about a safari park. He has these two options to illustrate his work. Can you spot 5 differences between them? Here they are. And now Greg's task is to find a model for their advertising campaign. He looks through pictures of these 4 models. Which lady is different from the others? This one, because she has shorter hair. Greg goes to the local food court and purchases some chicken nuggets for lunch. He puts his lunchbox on a table and leaves for a minute to wash his hands and get a fork. Then, Greg comes back and finds out that his lunch is missing. Greg interrogates 3 people nearby. Megan says,
I didn't even look at your food. It wouldn't fit me anyway. I'm on a vegan diet.
I was taking pictures of my croissant for social media. You can see it for yourself if you don't believe me. And Peter says,
Sir, I don't steal food. It's against my principles.
After hearing what they had to say, Greg knows for sure who's the thief. What about you? Megan said that Greg's food wasn't vegan, but how does she know that if she hasn't even looked at it? Busted! Greg wants to bring a sweet treat to his coworkers. He has 2 jars of chocolates labeled as V and C. If he moves one chocolate from the V jar to the C, the number of chocolates in the V jar will become twice the number of chocolates in the C jar. But if he moves one chocolate from jar C to V, the number of chocolates in both the jars will become equal. Can you figure out the number of chocolates in each jar respectively? The V jar has 5 chocolates, and jar C has 7. Greg returns to the office and discovers that someone broke his chair. He interrogates 3 coworkers. Will says, I was at a business meeting for the last 3 hours. I've just returned to my workplace and I didn't notice your chair. Fiona says, I took Peter's chair today because someone took mine, but I didn't approach your desk. And Peter says,
I spent the whole day at my workplace, but I didn't look around because I had very important work to do.
Who's lying? Peter is sitting on a chair with an inscription of his name. Therefore, Fiona's story is fake. Greg goes to an opening of a new fancy hotel. In the buffet area, he meets these 3 people. Each claims to be a billionaire, but 2 of them are lying. Can you spot the real billionaire? The first lady sneaked a gold fork from the table and hid it in her hair. If she's really rich, she doesn't need to steal cutlery. And the second guy is wearing shoes that are too small for him, so he probably borrowed them from someone else's feet. Therefore, only the third lady is a billionaire. Greg is planning to spend a night in the hotel. Only 3 rooms are available at the moment. A room on the 15th floor with a mind-blowing view, a fancy penthouse with a huge jacuzzi, and a standard double room on the 4th floor. Can you help Greg choose the best option? The first option doesn't exist because the hotel is only 10 stories. And there are cracks inside this jacuzzi. It's not safe to take a bath in this room. So Greg should pick the 3rd room.